Hey guys, my name is Rachel Delk with Rachel's Book Nook on Facebook and on YouTube. You can also find me at rachelsbooknook.com. It takes you straight to my PaperPie website, and we are talking about the science of reading part 2 out of 3. And so our video, we talked about the 5 pillars of reading. So phonics and phonemic awareness, which was our first video. And then in this video, we are talking about fluency, vocab, and reading comprehension. So first of all, let's talk about vocab because that can start early. And really that you hear that from just talking to your kiddos and reading really good books. You can have a really finding books that are maybe outside of your normal environment. So like you can read books about your kitchen, and you can read books about your like what you do day to day, going to school, all those things that you normally do. But then when you read books about like going camping, and read books about different animals, and read books about like different something that maybe interests you but you don't see every day, that can just expand your vocabulary even more. And so just talking to your kids, reading good books with your kids, that can all expand their vocabulary. And in fact, as you have, as kids hear lots of different words, that is really good to have a really rich language environment that they're in. And then also just reading all sorts of books is really, really good too. And then when we're talking about fluency, so fluency is a little bit more hard to explain. It's like how easy is reading to you? Like how quickly does it come? Like we remember like when you were in school and you had to like read out loud in front of the entire class, and some kids were really fast, fluid, smooth readers, and then there were readers who were really slow, really monotone. And that kind of comes from practice. So you read obviously over and over again. You just get practice. You get better at it with practice. But then, especially as you are reading out loud, like right now with our son, he is 8 and he's a strong reader. But right now, when we're reading out loud, I am having him read out loud a little bit every day. And I'm having to remind him to read loud and to read slowly, because sometimes his brain is going faster than his words and it get really jumbled, and every so often he'll miss a word and we'll have to go back and say, oh no, read that again. And all that is part of fluency. And then last but not least, we have reading comprehension. And I'll talk about a few of these with some books in hand here in a minute, but we have a lot of really good books that go back and say, okay, you just read this book, now let's answer some questions about it. And that's something that you as a parent, as a caregiver, can do as well. Say, okay, we just read this. Who's the main character? Or what were they thinking there? Or what do you think will come next? That's a really great question as kids are getting older. In the middle of a story, as you're turning a page, like, oh wow, what just happened, and what do you think will happen next? Those are really good questions to ask. But let's look at books. So we're going to start with the Read with Usborne level readers. We've got, and this is not all of them, but like How Crab Got His Claw, Clever Rabbit and the Wolves, Old MacDonald Had a Farm, The Little Giraffe, The Dinosaur Who Lost His Roar, and there are numbered. So we've got different like levels, and I'm sure you've seen these like at the dollar store or at Walmart or through Scholastic, other ways. And honestly, early readers like this, I have a love-hate relationship with, because sometimes you're reading and the story just isn't good. It's really jumbled, especially if it's like based on like a TV show or a movie. It's like you took 2 hours of narrative and turned it into 10 pages. That's not going to go well. Or sometimes like the vocabulary they use, it's like, okay, no second grader in the world is ever really going to be able to know what that word is, you know? And so sometimes with other readers, I'm not a huge fan, but I do love our Read with Usborne readers. So the Old MacDonald Had a Farm. This one is really great, and a lot of them are based on folk tales or nursery rhymes. And so if they already know it, that's really great, because then they already have context for what the for what the book is about. And also repetition. So here an oink, there an oink, everywhere an oink oink. Words that repeat are really good. That's going to help with fluency because you're like, oh, you just saw this word. We just read it. What is it again? And it'll come faster. That helps with fluency. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on his farm he had some hens, E-I-E-I-O. So again, we're working on vocab, all sorts of animal sounds there. And then with our readers, we have some puzzles that they have to solve at the end, and some of them are like, can you name these things? Can you find these things in the picture? Some of them are reading comprehension questions. So I really like our that one's upside down. And then it will tell you on the back too of who they're for. So number 1 is for new readers, developing readers, confident readers, or step to chapter books. Speaking of, we'll go ahead and do these first. I also really love our School of Monsters series. So in these, if you are looking for books that are inclusive for either disability or something like that, our School of Monsters is a really good option. But I'm going to show you my favorite one, Bug's First Day. And the reason this one is my favorite is because it talks about Bug is worried because he doesn't know how to read yet. He doesn't know how to write yet. And this is his first day of school. And the teacher is like, that's the point. You come to school to learn these things. No one else knows these things too. And I love that encouragement of, it's okay you don't know. It's okay that you're learning. It's okay that it's hard. It's okay. And so with our School of Monsters books, the last word is always going to be in a different color, and it's going to rhyme, and it's going to be decodable. So I would do, so now it's time to have some, and I would let my kiddo read fun. Go make some friends, run in the sun, okay? This one at the back also has a how to draw, which is super cool. But also, one of my favorite parts is it has all the words that they are reading. And if they're green, it's like, that's awesome. Those are easy sight words, decodable words. That's really great. If they're in the orange color, it's like, oh, that's a step above. If you read that, that's amazing. If you have any words in red, it's like, oh my goodness, kid, like you are killing it in being able to read. And so these are really fun, really cute little books, all sorts of different like fun like topics, and they're also very well representative of other kiddos, you know. So I really like our School of Monsters as first easy readers. And then our first chapter books. As we're getting into good fluency, I love our beginning chapter books. So we've got Hey Jack and we've got Billie B Brown. These are what I would really recommend as you've gone through some readers, and now let's just start your very first chapter book. And what I love about these is that you still have some pictures, the font is really big, and you're never going to have a sentence that ends here or starts on this page and ends on this one. So you're not having to like pause in the middle, flip a page, and still figure out, keep that like, you know, train of thought going across a page, because that can be really hard when you're like learning all these words. And so our first chapter book readers are really, really good. But one that I recommend for every party, and I'm like every party, every person I talk to, everyone who's like looking at how to encourage their kids how to read. I love the My First Reading library set. It's 50 books and it builds on itself. So our first ones I have here are very much like School of Monsters in a way. We have shared reading, and then also it has comprehension questions at the end. And so with this one, I would read this part and my kiddo would read this part. And what's really cool about these is not only do they have the puzzle and the comprehension questions at the end, but it grows on itself. So once you've read, the green ones are numbered. Once you've gone through all the green ones, you're ready for the orange section. And once you've read all the orange section, you're ready for the purple section. And once you've read all the purple section, you're a good reader. And again, we have some folk tales in here. We have some nursery rhymes in here. So that helps with the context as kids are learning to read and they're like, I don't know what this word is, but I know what the story is. And so maybe it's duck. Maybe it's hen. Maybe it's gold, you know, and you never know. And so that helps with their reading comprehension. So as far as kiddos learning to read, I love this set for pre-K all the way up through second, sometimes third grade. It's really a really good investment. There's a ton of books in it, and they're really interesting, and they all have that comprehension questions at the back. And then for older kids, we have our Extraordinary Life of series, and then also Polly and Buster. This is the same author as our Billie B. Brown and Hey Jack by Sally Rippon. She actually writes a book for adults that PaperPie has that's called Wild Things, and it's about her son who really struggled with reading all the way through high school. And she's a children's author, and so she talks about like the difficulty in doing that. And so if you want to look into that, it talks about getting a diagnosis for her son and advocating for her son and all that stuff. So that's Wild Things, also on our website, which is really good. I loved it. It really made me think of how kids learn to read a little bit differently. But she also writes a series called Polly and Buster. Polly is a witch who struggles with reading a little bit. And so if you're looking for a character who your kiddo can like reflect with, like see themselves in, get Polly and Buster. It's a really good series. It also is a really good series about friendship in general. And it is one of our chapter books for older kids, okay? So a few pictures, but it's a pretty beefy book, you know? And so I would say, depending on your reader, upper elementary all the way through junior high would be a good age group for Polly and Buster. And then also for kids, probably upper elementary as well, we have our Extraordinary Life of. This is a biography series. And these are all done with colored ink and different fonts. And these are designed to be read by kids with reading struggles. So whether it's dyslexia or ADHD or on the spectrum, anything that might make it more difficult to read, these books are designed for those types of kids. So again, you're never going to have a sentence that starts on one page and ends on the next. The ink is colored because that's supposed to be easier for them to read. You have different fonts and different kind of media words for designs so that like it's easier for them to read. The letters are not swimming around on the page as much. And so I really like that PaperPie has designed these books for kids to read, even though like reading other kinds of books may be more difficult. So that was our video on fluency and vocab and reading comprehension. All of those are really great key elements to being a really confident and competent reader. And then our last video is going to be on the secret sauce of what makes a lifelong reader.